Continuing our look around the BC Hockey League season previews for 2016-17, up next is the Salmon Arm Silverbacks. We're joined by the President, Governor, and General Manager of the Silverbacks. It is Troy Mick. Troy, thanks very much for taking the time to chat here.
Always look forward to it, Brian. Appreciate it.
So for your team this season, when you were looking at your recruiting, which, as I've had more than one team tell me, the recruiting starts well before the offseason does. What was your game plan, though, coming into this year, knowing what holes you were going to have to fill in your roster?
Well, I think we addressed it during, I think now recruiting is 12 months of the year. As much as main camp started, I mean, you're already recruiting for next year because, some of the players that are at your camp right now, you're looking at APing them, and maybe a couple kids, if they've had a real good camp, but are going to go back and play midget or are going to be committed to for the following season. So it really never ends at the junior A level. I mean, we don't have a listing process. We don't have a draft. So, you know what? Everyone's got to do their homework, but the other side of it is we can recruit anywhere in North America and no one's bound to a draft. So I really like those outlooks. And, for us as a team, we knew that we were going to lose half a team, which we always plan to every year. And I think the real good thing is we really thought we were going to have to look on the left side. And then all of a sudden, Carson Bolduc comes back on the left side, Mitch Gapsey comes back on the left side, and all of a sudden we just got older and a heck of a lot better. So we're very excited where we're headed.
So what is the recruiting game for your team? What all goes into putting together the Salmon Arm Silverbacks? Is there a specific identity that you're looking for?
Well, I always say, there's one thing that's non-negotiable, and that's work ethic. You know what? Everybody can work the hardest, but everyone brings a certain skill set. You may be the speedster, you may be the goal scorer, the setup man, the defensive defenseman, the offensive D-man, or as a goalie, you're a butterfly guy, rebound control. I think really the biggest thing is if you're working hard every day, everyone's going to find that spot on our hockey club, and I think that's really where we looked at is trying to identify by position first and foremost, and then obviously take the best player at that position. And, we're not someone that really has to say, oh, you got to be 6 foot or 6'2" to be a defenseman in this league or a forward. I mean, the first thing we look at is speed, and then obviously meeting the parents and character to know where these kids are coming from, what their family history is like, and, and really doing due diligence and talking to their coaches that they played last year because, with the league so competitive, and obviously our division, I think, is very competitive every single year. Now I'm going into, year 5 here in Salmon Arm, and every year it's only a few points from being in the playoffs or not. So it's those little intangibles, and I think getting those good kids with good character from good family backgrounds is very important to our program.
So when it comes to your team from last season, first time back in the playoffs after 2 years missing, but you've been around the BCHL and you've been around hockey for a long, long time. What did you learn from last season, or do you still find yourself learning every season? And do you look at maybe as an organization things you need to change in style or philosophy or anything like that?
Well, one, you're really dating me by, saying I've been in the league many, many, many years. So I thank you for that, my friend. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is I have been in the league, and you've seen the game change a lot. I mean, especially with all the Hockey Canada supplemental rules in regards to fighting. Obviously, that's taken out. So, you really have to address, the game isn't as physical as it once was before when you played in the small arenas. Everyone's got the nicer arenas now, and a lot more guys want to be the skill guy, the score guy, and everything else. So to really find that power forward that really knows his role, that's going to play within the rules, is really been challenging. But I think now more than ever, I mean, you're really doing more homework on each one of these kids as far as the recruiting going. And, from my first year, it took 3 years to kind of go through the whole cycle of all the players where, last year was really indicative of where we are and where we want to go. We did really well up until beginning of January, where we ranked pretty much all season long. And then in January, we kind of went the other way and, lost 6 games at the end of the year to go into playoffs against Kelowna. And, we had a great series with West Kelowna, ended up losing in 6 games. So I guess you can say that was a good thing because they ended up winning, but then obviously bad thing because that could have been us too, I guess. So bottom line, hats off to Ryland First and the West Kelowna Warriors. And, you know what? That's a goal that we all strive every year.
Your team scored quite a bit last season, averaging almost 4 goals per game. Is that the type of team that fans can expect from your club this year?
Absolutely. I mean, we're in the entertainment business, and you know what, we're not a team that loves to play the trap, obviously, late in the game if you're protecting a one-goal league. But, you know, we're competing with 50-inch TVs, the NHL network, movie theaters, you know, ski hills. And to me, I really think our league has done a good job as far as, you know, opening it up a little bit with some of the rule changes in regards to scoring. I mean, I like when our gorilla goes across the ice when we score and the music comes on and everybody jumps up and cheers. I mean, I think that's, you know, really the fan interaction. I mean, the pricing to come in the game is a great family value to see great hockey. And, you know, one thing I always say to a lot of the people, like, these kids are all amateurs. None of them get paid. Their goal is to try to get an education paid for. So when you come to a game, you're going to get the real deal. You're not going to get, how I say, prima donnas or anybody that's making the big money and they're going to decide when to play. I mean, our guys at this level have to play hard every game because there's always NCAA guys watching them, and that's our mentality. We want to be entertaining every single game, and, you know, if we win 5-4, I'll be okay. Some coaches might hate it, but I think, you know, a 2-1 game in the playoffs is a lot more indicative, but we want to develop these guys, and obviously scoring goals is a great way to do it.
Knowing what you've got in terms of returnees, plus recruits that you've brought in, plus guys that you've acquired in various transactions, what would you say right now is the strength of your team?
You know what? I think when we got Carson Bulldog back and Mitch Gapsky back, I mean, that just added a lot. And then having Josh Blanchard back as, you know, 3 of our 96s there, and you know, Barriga's coming back as another 96. I would have to say our strength is going to be up front. You know, we've got 3 very good, you know, returning veteran, and the one I just acquired, Carter Cochran, who's a very gifted offensive defenseman. You bring Cameron Trott, who, you know, went to the Junior A Challenge trial camp last year, and Riley Booth, another 96 defenseman. You know, I think we got great leadership, we got great core, and then you sprinkle in, you know, some of our recruits. We got the 1, 2, 3 BC Major Midget League scoring in regards to Ammunition, Wilson, and Latta. So, and we got a bunch of other guys that have come in too, but that's a really a great start for us to look at our roster.
When it comes to the returning players, I mean, you alluded to the leadership and some of those guys, but is there any player coming back that maybe you see their role being elevated this season and maybe expect them to step up in a different role or in a bigger role than they were playing in last season?
For sure. I mean, I think a real indicative is, you know, our 98 Marcus Mitchell, who came in and just played phenomenal as a first-year player, and by the end of the year played in the top 6 role, and he's on a fly down actually right now to Michigan Tech. I think we're expecting a real big year from him. You know, Jared Turcotte, a 97 from California, who was a rookie last year, has looked unreal at camp so far. Big body, physical, hard hitting. You know, and then I think Barriga, who's always been a goal scorer when he played in California, has looked real good at camp, speed, skill. You know, those are, I think, 3 guys right off the top for me that when I look at that, you know, we want them to develop more as far as, you know, putting more numbers up there because, you know, the other guys I talked about earlier, I mean, they've all been point guys. And, you know, having Mitch Gapsky back and being our captain is going to be a great dressing room leader. He's a guy that can play both sides of the puck, and obviously his game is leading by example. So we're very excited. And, you know, and then we've got 2, you know, basically real good goaltenders. One in Trevin Kozlowski was at the Anaheim Ducks NHL camp here a month and a half ago and was a top prep player out east, and he's one of our goalies. And then we acquired Michael Botis from the OJHL about a month ago as well. And like you said, I mean, I think we're looking pretty solid all the way around. And you know what? It's going to be exciting to drop that puck here right away.
Is there already a personality with this team that you've got, or is it a bit too early to say?
I think it's too early to say. I mean, you know, last year we had Bill Middleton as our captain, and then, you know, obviously we identified Mitch Gapsky being the guy that, you know, we want to come in. He's played, you know, Junior A, Major, Junior. Here's a guy that's coming back. He's not going to get NCAA scholarship, but he's looking to go to CIS. And, you know, the way that he plays, the way that he works hard, competes every day, just how he conducts himself off the ice is really, I think, going to be the biggest thing where our identity is going to come from him. And you had Carson Bulldog decided to come back and play his 20-year-old year, a hometown. They will want to go with the bang. So I really think the identity is really going to come from those 2 players.
You alluded to hard work earlier. One last question for you. Is that what it means to be a Salmon Arm Silverbacks player?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, and that was part of our main camp discussion, is really, one thing that's non-negotiable, and that's work ethic. You know what? Everybody is different in potential skill set and everything else, but really, you know what? If we have to motivate you to work hard and to be the best every day, then you're definitely not going to be a Silverback. So, our motto this year is we're going to, like I say, we respect all, fear none. And I think that's really the biggest thing, that we're going to go into every single game. We're going to respect every one of our opponents, but we're not going to fear anybody. And that means we're going to get in your face. We're going to play hard. We're going to forecheck hard. We're going to put some goals in the net. And obviously we're going to try to win more games than we lose. And looking forward to a great year.
All right, Troy Mick, the governor, president, and general manager of the Salmon Arm Silverbacks. Thanks very much for doing this, Troy, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate all you do for the BCHL.